this month in comics.
I got you covered.
But what you got?
It's a fantastic book.
Damn it. What did you do?
I'll find you a book for it.
Get your comic on.
Polka dot, polka dot, polka dot, polka dot.
Yo, Factor. Factor, come on, man. Let's get going. Let's do it.
Man, look, I'm trying to decide which fucking comic to get and read for this month in comics. I'm telling you, this looks really good. You know what I mean? All right, look at that.
What is that?
Christabel, man.
Christabel.
Right.
Oh, is that with from your Deadliest Bouquet girl?
Yeah, Erica Schultz, man. Yeah, this is a
Erica
Kickstarter
Schultz.
she's currently running, right? You can check it out. There'll be a link in the description as far as to check that out. This is just like, I kind of want to reread it, man, but she was nice enough to send it to me digitally, and there's going to be a larger format on the Kickstarter. It's going to be a nice little, like, it's going to be way thicker than this. I highly suggest y'all check it out, though. All right, it's a very intriguing medieval magical story that I'm really interested to see where it goes. And look, she signed it.
Aw.
Yeah,
Very nice.
because Eric is awesome. Yeah, but ladies and gentlemen, I am the Unknown Factor. This is That Month in Comics, and you see Dave right there. I already brought him up from Comic Book University. I'll be seeing him Monday, right? Because that's just how we do. Right? We're going to get into all kinds of things that came out in March, yeah? And I know this episode's a little late. I might have done something. We're not going to get into that, right? 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 Because we're not, you know? Right?
I won't bring it up.
Yeah. Look, whatever, man. Sometimes between trying to make music, running a podcast, and just, trying to be a father and all this other crap, and being half of Kill the Factor and making all the music and my solo, and it gets to be a lot, man. I don't know what to say.
It's all right. I don't mind hanging out with you again. Always fun.
Yeah. It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure. I'll definitely come up and hang, me and the boy, on Monday, man. And we'll see. You better have us some new cartoons. I swear, I'm kind of annoyed.
We're still waiting to get our last order of them.
You're killing me, Dave. You're killing me.
Diamond distributors, man. They're the ones who didn't get us our books. They sent us one out of the 5 we ordered.
Diamond, you need to get on your shit. My boy needs his cartoons. Especially since I have an artist coming up that is actually one of the artists that works on that particular magazine, man. But I was getting into music, Dave, and right, I remember me and you talking about something that was a little musically inclined. So let's get into some comic books.
Yeah. Let's get into I Hate Fairyland. Number 5 has an amazing concept this month. Well, last month. They have a theme song by Jack the Radio. They want you to download the song and listen to it while you're reading the comic. And the first half of the comic is wordless, no words, just a kind of a montage, if you will, from the 80s. If you think about how you always watch those films and they're like, okay, we finally got it. We've got to do all this before the deadline happens. And they always kicked in some sort of montage where everyone had to work together and do something. That's what this is. And it's an amazing song, beautiful art by my notes just disappeared. Amazing art by Brett Bean, who's been doing the art since I Hate Fairyland came back late last year. Scotty Young is still writing it. But Jack the Radio. I've been listening to their stuff since this came out. I was like, man, why haven't I listened to these guys before?
But have you listened to Kill the Factor yet?
I have.
Oh, you have?
I have.
What was your initial thought?
There's music out there for everybody, brother.
I mean, hey, fair enough, man. Some people don't like hip hop.
Yeah.
You just can't be that cool, Dave. I get it. You're pretty cool.
Yeah, I wish I could be. I wish I could. It may not have been my thing. May have hit me at the wrong time of day. Who knows? Some days I don't feel like listening to Suicidal Tendencies, and I'd rather listen to The Cure. Some days I want to listen. You have a question?
Well, it makes me curious. What did you listen to?
I think I just pulled up the first song that came up on the thing. I couldn't even tell you what it was. Let's see. Where was it? Dun, dun, dun. Tangents. I gotta pull it back up, man. I apologize. It might have been that.
I'm just really curious what the first Killer Factor track you listened to was. Because you should have asked for a recommendation.
I was just getting in there, man. I just wanted to see what it was.
It's not like you don't know half the group or anything.
Well, yeah.
As Dave takes forever to pull up a song.
I'm old, man. I'm old. Give me a break. This was not what I had on my list I was going to look up tonight.
I mean, that's fair. That's fair, especially with what I added to the list, and then I'm just messing with you. But, we're getting into music, and I do say I think it's very
interesting. It might have been... It was off of Wickedness and Retribution, I think.
See, there are a couple songs I'd recommend, and I honestly, I don't know, honestly, Dave, we've never really gone in-depth comic or talking on a musical endeavor, man. I mean, we always talk comics because, we're in comic book here, and I'm just looking for things and this and that. But, off that album, there are certain tracks that I would recommend if you're just going to jump in and listen to one, like Killer Factor Inc., Cop Killer, or Wickedness and Retribution, There are certain tracks that stand out within that are stellar, in my opinion. AA is phenomenal for what it is, but it features 17 artists. It's very much a story, and it's very in depth and long and intriguing, in my opinion, and something that I'm not sure has ever been done in the capacity that it was. But that's not here or there, man. We were really getting really way off track because I think what they did with I Hate Fairyland is something that's very interesting because it's something that I haven't seen done in comics in a long time.
Right.
The only
and that was the thing though, because after I listened to that first song, that song hit hard for me. It really it connected with me, and then I downloaded one of their albums and I just started listening. And I was going, okay, that one's a slap. That one's good. Okay, that one's good. And just maybe it's because I'm old. I don't know. But it was good music, and I don't have a whole lot of time in my car. I only have a 6-minute drive to and from work, so I don't listen to a lot of music. Yeah, so it's one Leonard Skinner song. Actually, not even a good David Bowie song is about as long as it takes me to get to work. And I don't
think you could listen to the entirety of AA. On going back and forth to work, funnily enough.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, there's 17 artists on it, bro. You know what I mean? It's kind of a long track, but I just think it's hilarious. I'm gonna come stalk you one day and figure out where you live, Dave.
It's not far.
If it's that close. Yeah.
Rob lives closer than I do.
Huh?
Rob lives closer to the store than I do. Yeah, he's 4 minutes from work. That includes stoplights. I mean, if that. Yeah.
She's a freaking Pete. But no, my point was, man, the only company, the last time I've seen somebody put music to comics like that, it was Chaos, which, they went
back
out
in the 90s.
in the early to late 90s, or mid to late 90s, I think is when that company went out of business. Which was very sad, right? But I do gotta say it's very nice to see things like this still coming out.
Yeah, Lady Death, baby.
Yeah, I love that Brian still managed to keep Lady Death and Evil Ernie both going in some capacity, and Purgatory as well. I mean, there's a number of Chaos characters that still exist. I haven't seen them put musical notes in any of the magazines, but that's neither here nor there. But I think it's very interesting that they did that with I Hate Fairyland. But yeah, I mean, you got Lady Death dropping as well. Remember that? The only thing that kind of hurts me about that in the Evil Ernie comics anymore is they're not together.
Right. They're in the different companies pick them up.
Yeah.
I think Ernie's with Dynamite now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had
And
to,
Lady
I had to
Death
turn
is with
around real quick.
Chaos and Coffin Bound or something like that. Is who's publishing their books.
No, it's Coffin Press.
Coffin Press.
Yeah, because it's actually Brian's company.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
he gets about probably 4 to 6 issues a year out of Lady Death, but it always sells through. I always go, man, we got a lot of Lady Deaths in, and they're always gone before the next issue comes out. So, it's definitely got the fans, and it's definitely beautiful work. It's the artwork inside is. The story may not always be for me, but the art is.
I mean, and look
fantastic.
at that. Look at that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I think. This is what attracts a lot of attention. To be real honest, like they just make Lady Death hot, big-breasted, like.
Yeah, the jewelry is what really pulls people in.
And the jewelry, yeah, I mean that jewelry.
Yeah, the necklaces, the earrings, yeah. There's really good details on that.
I mean, they really, it is phenomenal art, man.
Oh yeah,
right? And it also has that dark touch, you know what I mean? Which, like I said, you can check out the PanCon we recently did with Erica, Tom, Steven, and Doug, talking about whether comics had gotten too dark. We already seen a book Erica's getting ready to drop as well. I mean, if I'm gonna bring up Doug's name, I think it's only apropos, isn't it?
Plush.
If I bring up Plush, man, look at that.
Love Plush.
Look at that.
Such a great book. Great story. Yeah, you gotta love it. And that's Tony Fleek's cover too.
Yeah, I love. That's what I was getting ready to say. I love the Tony Fleece covers. I think it's and Tony's a pleasure. We're gonna be having him coming up on a PanCon at some point. You can check out his past quest though with us, which was hilarious. Went all over the place. We got into Godzilla and King Kong. It was pretty priceless, man. And but I think Doug's done something with almost every man. Is the Eye of Odin out in trade yet?
Beware of Eye of Odin.
Yeah, it's not out in trade yet, is it?
Let's see here.
Yeah, I don't believe so because I think I told you to put that on my pull list.
Yeah, the trade is not out yet.
Yeah, see, because I want to say everything I've read by Doug, that being vinyl, plastic, and currently plush, which is in the middle of dropping, and has been phenomenal. I never thought I'd feel sympathetic for cannibalistic furries. You know what I mean?
Right. But they're good dudes.
Yeah, aren't they though, man?
They're good people.
It's Scratch. Are you sure you're not the devil?
No, I'm just a guy in a goat suit. What? I don't understand. Yeah. What makes you think just because I'm wearing a goat suit and I call myself Scratch, I'm the devil? I don't understand.
I will say though, like, and this is why I want to read Beware the Eye of Odin, because everything that I've read by Doug, though I do need to pick up The Ride that I've seen several ads for, because that's by him and Daniel Hillard as well. I might pick this up. I might pick that up this Monday. Dave, fucking remind my ass.
Ride?
The Ride, yeah. I don't know if you guys will have it in stock or not, but everything I've read by Doug, I feel like it needs to be turned in to some other medium. Like I really feel like plastic and plush could work plastic and vinyl could work as a TV series or like a movie. You know what I mean?
I'd like to like A24, the guys, that film company A24. They do a lot of horror, a lot of weird little, not center, just a little off center movies. Yeah, I'd like to see them do plastic. I think they could do I think it would be a phenomenal film.
Doug's definitely a little off center.
I mean, it's plastic is John Wick, but instead of his puppy getting killed, it's his plastic blow up doll. come on.
Oh my God, you just gave the best pitch ever for somebody making plastic into a film. Look, it's John
Oh,
Wick, but instead of a puppy, it's they kidnap his plastic blow-up doll. It's like, wait. What the fuck did you just say?
and he's just as big of a badass as John Wick was. He's not Baba Yaga, but
I mean, yeah, having red plastic. I mean, and they never did explain really where his skill set came from either. You know what I mean?
It's got to be some sort of CIA or one of those alphabet agencies, because I think the government's like when they show up in town, didn't they like go, oh, never mind, and they just backed off and let him do his thing, and let him just drive away. Yeah, so
it's like, oh, it's him. Never mind.
Yeah. Have you seen the movie? There's a movie called Nobody with Bob Odenkirk.
Yes, excellent film.
Exactly the same thing. Yeah, kind of thing. Yeah, he's like, he goes on his little killing spree. He wipes out the Russian mafia, and as he's being held, by the police, they're like, "Who do you think you are?" He goes, "Me, I'm nobody." But that phone call, that's for you to tell me to go. Okay. And then they're like, yeah, okay, you're free to go. So yeah, I think it would be I think A24 would be a really good thing. They did like Midsummer. I'm pulling up some of their books, Hereditary, Bodies, The Lighthouse, The Green Knight. I mean, so they do some really interesting. Ex Machina. Oh man, Ex Machina was a great film about the Turing test, where the AI robot like convinces people to let her go, like she's being trapped. I mean, they do really good stuff.
Yeah, all I know is if they do it, I fully need to see him shove a toilet brush down someone's throat, and just
absolutely.
Like, it's necessary, right? But I do want to just go back to Plush, man. I love where that series is going. I'm really looking forward to seeing the next issue from Doug and Dan, because I mean the art's phenomenal. It fits Doug's writing perfectly as far as how it's played out. I'd kind of like to see that as an animated series, to be real honest, or at least an animated movie. I think you could do Plush phenomenally, mainly because I think it would be really hard to do in live action with the whole cattail wrapping around a dude's head and you know what I mean?
A really good anime style would be really fun.
Yeah, it would be phenomenal to see that as an anime, man. But you know what? Let me ask you something, Dave. This is a random side note, right? I can't remember if you answered this on your questionnaire or not. I'm just gonna ask you because I can't remember if I brought it up in the first episode of This Month on Comics. What is your favorite comic book film?
My favorite comic book film.
Or TV series. We'll go with either.
Okay. It's amazing. For years, it was like you'd get a semi-decent, comic book movie, and you're like, that's my favorite comic book movie. And now in the last 12 years, I mean, Iron Man 1 came out in 2008. That was 15 years ago.
Jesus.
And up to then, I was like, man, the amazing, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was the best. And now I've kind of gone back. I've watched the Tobey Maguire ones. They're a little too cheesy, in some of the stuff. I mean, it's done well, but not all the jokes hold up, and some of the it's like But man, I gotta tell you, I still love the first Iron Man film. That one's really good. I can watch that one quite a bit. But Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, I've seen probably more than any of the other Marvel movies. It's nearly perfect in my opinion. The music, the actors, the story was great. It's also the last movie I saw at the theater with my sister before she passed away. So it just really hits me really well in the feels. So I have a really strong connection with that one. So Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, absolutely. We are Groot.
and the holiday special was
Oh,
phenomenal.
Holiday. Yeah, that was fantastic. Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
You're an actor? Oh God, you're the worst. And I already have my tickets to the next Guardians movie, so, and that's still like 3-4 weeks away. So
Jesus, man.
had them for a week. As soon as they made it available.
I'm gonna have to make sure I get to that so we can discuss it on next month in comics, or one of these episodes coming up, because you can hear us get in depth with Quantuminium as far as in the whole context of that and what Dave and myself thought of it. But I'll tell you, the thing I'm waiting for, really, man, from the MCU, like more than anything, is I so want them to bring in the X-Men, and I know they can't just do it, right? Like it's not like you can just be like, hey, look, it's Bishop's War College, right? And start here.
Well, who's Bishop?
Right?
And why is it a war college? And who's this? And what's that? Yeah.
And why are the X-Men immortal? And what the fuck's going on here? And like,
right.
Yeah, like you would be adamantly confused. But I do want to say, man, Sean Hill really caught the essence, in my opinion, of Bishop in this comic. And if you can't see that episode now, you'll be able to see it in a couple days' time, where we bring on Sean Damian Hill and we really get in depth on this particular comic that he's doing. I even got a couple previews of a few pages that I got video of pages that if I put out, like, he'd end up getting bitched at Marvel. It was kind of funny.
Yeah. You might have to send the guy from Plastic over to talk to you.
yeah, like for real. Like, I don't need that. But can I say, as far as because I know in the last episode we got into a lot of things that may have been a little bit hard to jump into. But if you're an X-Men fan and you want to jump into a current X-Men book, I really like. Have you read this, Dave?
I've not. I've got, let's see, Moral X-Men, Nightcrawlers, Immortal X-Men, Executioners, Wolverine. There's like 12 X-Men books I'm reading right now.
Are you a fan of Bishop?
Yeah, I really like Bishop. I was there when he first was introduced, back in the 90s. So yeah, I've got all of his, those books.
Can I say, I personally, because I told this to Sean, two of my favorite X-Men were always Bishop and Deadpool. Even though, I mean, Deadpool's kind of like you consider him an X-Man, but you really don't consider him an X-Man kind of thing. It's like
X-Men adjacent. Yeah.
Yeah. But Sean really captured, in my opinion, the essence of Bishop in his art. You know what I mean? Like, it's really, really, really well drawn. And like I said, you can listen to us and go into this with Sean at a far greater depth. I won't. Much love to Sean for coming on the show. And I do think it's a book currently within the X-Men universe that you can just jump into and grab that's just started at number 1. That won't be as confusing as some other things without you having read like House of X and several other titles. And I appreciated the absolute hell out of that, bro. But I jumped out of order.
It's okay. What do you want to talk about next?
Right? Because I know you got another number 1.
I do. I believe Frank Miller and Frank Quitely, or Mark Miller and Frank Quitely got together and they put out a book called The Ambassadors. I've already got it bagged up. The Ambassadors. Book's hot right now. So you've got a super smart lady from Korea who makes an announcement that she has discovered a way to give people superpowers, and she's going to give superpowers to 6 people in the world. Not the richest, not the most successful, not politicians, the 6 most deserving people. How do you make that decision? Well, that's up to her to decide. And
you piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, and there's namely, it looks like the U.S. government's really pissed off about it because they're like, oh, great, she's going to make us cool. We can buy into this and we'll have us our own Superman. and the governments have been putting out propaganda saying that they've had a Superman for years, well, it's all been BS, and kind of like think of the how people think Stanley Kubrick created the fake moon landings. That's what the U.S. government's been doing with superheroes, making people think that they've already got them. So when they find out that someone can actually become a real superhero, they're like, "Oh, we'll pay you for that." And she's like, "I don't want your money," and so that's going to cause a bunch of issues. But yeah, Frank quietly does the first issue. He's only doing one issue of the series. It's a limited run, and each issue is going to have a different artist doing the book, and so you have a different feel for each book because it's going to center. Yeah, it'll be centering on a different character, a different person, learning why this person is deserving of getting superpowers.
How long does that run?
I think it's 5 issues.
Well, that makes sense. She said she's giving it to 6 people, though. I would think it was going to be 6 issues.
Maybe 6. Yeah. Let me pull up my my notes real fast here. I'm old. That's not my PIN number. Pull up my. But yeah,
he forgot his PIN number.
I did. I just typed in 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not my number.
I didn't know we were making Spaceball references over here.
That's the same number as my luggage. Oh, God.
Now I just want to get your phone.
1 of 6, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense with it being 6.
That makes a lot more.
Who's dropping that, company-wise?
That is an Image book. Uh-oh. My seat was... yeah, so it's an Image book. But, of course, being Mark Millar, I think it's in conjunction with Netflix because all of Mark Millar's got a contract with Netflix. Netflix gets all first looks at any property he creates. So
after
don't be surprised if you see that.
After reading the first issue and knowing that it's going to be a limited series, Dave, what do you think the probability is that it becomes a Netflix series?
I would say a year ago it was really high, but last year they put out a series called Jupiter's Legacy, and it did not do well. I watched the first 2 episodes of that. Loved the book series about like legacy superhero families. And I watched the first 2 episodes, and yeah, there was stuff right out of the comic, but man, effects were not great. The makeup, because they would jump from like the 1940s to the 1990s, and it would be the same actor, in each one of these locations, and like the beard looked fake. You're like, oh, he's now older, he's got a beard. Yeah, that beard looks really bad. So it wasn't very well received. They also put another one out last year called Super Crooks, but it was an anime, and that was another Mark Millar, and that one was fantastic. I'd watch it again if I had time, because the art was really good, very similar to almost a Cowboy Bebop style art, but taking place in like San Francisco and Washington D.C. You watch the trailer on that. Look up Super Crook. Watch the trailer for that. It's very tight. So yeah, that was a really good one. But I don't know about the ambassadors. We'll see how dark it gets, because there's some really shady stuff going on, and so we'll see whether that's something that'll pop around.
Dave, why do you just love to give me more things to read and watch?
Because that's what I do. I got video game recommendations for you too if you want.
Dude, I will throw a brick at you. I will
I
show
don't.
up Monday with a fucking brick if you start making. I don't have time for fucking. I don't have. Do you realize what it takes? Did you ever even log into the damn Twitter?
Well, I told you I didn't. Something was wrong with
Motherfucker, I
the
sent that shit
password.
to you.
Huh?
I
What?
sent that to you in a message.
I didn't see it. Dun, 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 dun.
Damn it, Dave. I know for a fact I sent you. Like, look, we're gonna stop talking. Look. Like, I swear, I can't.
I'll have to find. I have to find that. Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Hey, I found.
yeah. Because look. Here pretty soon we're gonna have a questionnaire website. If I can convince Dave to, we're gonna do, his comic book picks of the week, right? All right, we're
Yeah, I
gonna have
get on
him
that.
write out a little short synopsis about things to the point where he's like, "Dude, how do you have me so much on this?" I'm like, "Because you got more time to read comic books than I do. Because you don't actually have to produce all these fucking shows and make them edited and this and that. I
Yeah, it's
like.
only an hour for me. It's only an hour for me. It's like days for you.
I don't want to talk about it, Dave. I don't. But I'll tell you, I do want to talk about Nick
What
Marikovich.
do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Nick Marikovich, man. Right, and another Image book. Right, that being Dead Romans.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Dead Romans.
Yeah, which I think is if you're into history, right? And this proves a point that we got into on if comic books become too dark. It's not the comic books have become too dark. It's the fact that comic books have become everything. Any genre you can think of, it exists in comic book form. And Dead Romans is one that's very historical. It's based during a Roman and German war. It's based on actual events. I mean, there's obviously fictitious. I mean, like 300 wasn't real, but it's based on the actual real. You know what I'm saying? It's based on events. Dead Romans is very much to that ilk. It's very dark. It's very gritty. If you listen to the quest that we have with Nick, which is currently up, apparently at some point there's going to be just dicks swinging everywhere, which I think is. I'm going to point this out. I love because I think it was the Germans, if memory serves, they would run at them naked. And their logic behind this was the fact that, back in the day, if somebody hit you with a sword and you were wearing clothes, the clothes would get into the wound and it would fester and kill you, right? If you have no clothes on, there's
No
nothing to
problem.
fester, but your dick's also swinging.
Right. And what are you more afraid of, a guy with a sword or a guy with his dick swinging at you?
I mean, but what if the guy is swinging his dick and a sword at you?
And a sword at you, yeah. That's scary.
That's a
very
little
scary.
fucking wait. This dude is so down. This dude is so down with war that he is buck ass naked, running at me, just knocking between his legs while he's like roar with a sword and a shield. Like there's something about that would be uber. That's like typically I think. I mean I've seen it quoted several times. Like the best way to if you don't want to fight somebody and they really want to fight, the best way to fight is be like fine. And just start stripping, and then like once you're naked, let's fucking go. Like, because at that point they're like, now you want to fight?
Yeah,
That you're
bro.
completely
Let's go.
like, yeah, dude, I'm
I don't
buck
want your
ass
blood
naked.
on my clothes.
Yeah, like I'm totally like I don't want your blood on my clothes, man. I'm trying to, and it would very much make a dude be any pretty much male, female, anybody. They're gonna be like, I'm good. I'm gonna go this way. Because and to realize that back in those times, man, there was an army that did that, and they did it purely for the fact. And again, this is a theory. I mean, it's not known one way or the other, but the theory is that they did that so the cloth wouldn't get in their wounds to fester. So it's funny that they did it for a completely logical reason.
All I had to do was wash their clothes. Wash your clothes, and then if you get stabbed, your clothes are clean.
But man, it wouldn't. I mean, back in that day, it wouldn't take much. You know what I'm saying? For
No.
something to get into your clothes. And I mean, if a wound starts to fester, it's not like they had any kind of penicillin or anything to that degree.
No.
Yeah, you're gonna get boned pretty quickly by a minor flesh wound. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got a fever. Yeah. Oh well, guess he's dead.
Oh my
I
god!
feel better. No,
Wait, no,
he's
you
mostly
don't. Get in the
dead.
hole. We don't need this spreading, motherfucker.
Yeah, the dead Romans looks pretty cool. I mean, it may not be my necessarily what I'm going for on some of my reads, but yeah, it's the art looks interesting. It's just not my style that I normally go for.
See, but that's the point right there with this show and the entirety, and just comics in general, in my opinion, is if you, and this is something that we discussed with Chrissy, which I guarantee that quest isn't out yet, but it will be coming soon for y'all watching there. Chrissy Wiseman coming up just by herself. You can watch her and Chris McDonald on this show. That's already dropped, and it's fucking insanity. But the fact that every art style, every kind of storyline you can think of exists. You know what I mean? To some degree. I mean, there's everything from hyper realism to what Dead Romans is, which is very dark, very gritty, very rough. You know what I mean? Which I think fits the book perfectly. You know, and I think that's what a lot of what it is the art style has to fit the book. You know what I mean? Like Kingdom Come, I'm sorry. I don't know that story would have really worked had it not been Alex Ross painting. I mean, I'm sure the story would have worked, but I don't think it would have been what it was. Let me restate that.
Right.
You know what I
Oh, I
mean?
completely agree.
Yeah. Like it had to
Completely agree.
have that hyper realism of Alex Ross's painting for it to stick out like it did. You know?
Yeah, because it really gives you this idea of they're not just heroes, they're gods.
Yeah.
They are. Yeah, it's just something. It looks so real. Yeah, it's like it's hyper real. It looks so real. You could see this happening if this world actually existed, because it did. I mean, on those pages, this world existed. So yeah, all the power to him and that book. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, but I mean, I think
and then you get some crazy stuff out there now where they look like Picasso paintings. But if that's what the story fits, a Picasso painting where things are just every which direction, people's arms are coming out their faces, but it works for the weird story that's being told. Great.
Okay, but as long as it's not completely generated by AI and they got 6-7 fingers and design. Look, do me a favor next time, this coming Monday, Dave, will you do me a favor and just point that comic out to me? You got any copies left?
Of which one?
The AI comic book, whatever it was.
Oh no, it's Abolition Man. And they came right out and said that this was definitely done with AI art as an experiment. If they were trying to pass it off as not AI art as an experiment, it definitely would have been less well received. I don't think it sold that great as it was. We probably sold, I would say less than a dozen copies of each issue. But I don't think
you don't have any of it left.
I might have a couple.
I don't look, and I'm not trying to pick up a copy because I know enough artists that would probably bite off my head if I did. Like there'd be past guests on the show that would suddenly be like, "Fuck the questionnaire," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would just like to take a look at it. You know?
Yeah, I'll definitely point it out. If I'm pretty sure I still have like issue 2, 4, and maybe 5 still on the shelf. I've flipped through it and it looked like, they created these pictures and, they just kind of popped in a word balloon here and a word balloon there. And I'm supposed to figure it out. And is probably like the same thing I felt when, 10-year-old me looked at a Sienkiewicz New Mutants back in the 80s and I didn't understand what was going on. I was too young. I was like going, I don't understand what these lines are. I don't understand art yet. But this, I should know art. I understand art pretty well. It doesn't make any sense. So I think sales spoke for itself, really. But I'll let you take a look at it, and you can see what it says to you.
Yeah, and I mean, I just say that out of a sheer curiosity point. I'm way more of a fan of like someone doing actual art within the comic book, because I think it takes a combination of creators to truly create. And not that there aren't books out there that are just created 100% by one creator. Like Old Dog is a great example of that, as well as Chrissy Wiseman's creating a comic that's completely done by her, and she's made the art and the story very well fit together. So I mean that does happen, but it's not to where they're having it generated by something. They're actually taking the time to actually truly do it. And in most cases, it takes a combination of individuals to truly make something work within the comic book industry. And I mean, there's a number of questions that on. You can listen to past creators get into exactly this point. But on that note, I know you've got another new #1 that just dropped. That I know you got to issue creators.
And as we talk about how there is a little bit of something for everyone out there, and there's the horror. We've had superhero. We had a fantasy with music. We're going to jump into a horror one here. From the same studios that brought us Something's Killing the Children, they've got a new one that might be pushing that same.
Wait, real quick though. Did you hear? I heard there was something in the rattles of that was going to be turned into an anime or TV show.
It did just get picked up. I did hear, or at least someone did just look into. I mean, yes, there was. Someone did option it. Something is Killing the Children. News, not images. Looks like Netflix. Yes, Netflix has picked it up.
I hope they don't go cheap on the special effects, is all I'll say.
Let's see. Renew, overall do, blah, blah, blah. Quick, Boom Studios. Okay, so they did, the same people that are doing it did a series called Dark in 1899 over at Netflix, and I liked both of those series. They were a German series that had been translated here. And the Dark series was a weird time travel story where people's fathers were their sons, and someone kidnapped somebody, and it turned out that it was his son kidnapped himself and then went back to meet his grandfather, and it's freaking nuts, and it's a really, really good story. And as soon as you think you've got something figured out, the season ends, and there's the cliffhanger for the next season, which flips everything on its head again, and it's all about something happened at a nuclear power plant, and it's super dope.
That makes me optimistic, because I know in reading Something is Killing the Children, it very much has twists like that where you kind of think you know what's going on, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that one looks pretty good. So I'm very optimistic for the people who I see that's working on it. But the comic that I'm talking about is called The Neighbors. Looks to deal with some witchcraft and some voodoo, and almost has the feel of a good summer or horror movie kind of feel, where family moves into a small neighborhood, and maybe they don't know everything about what happened to the residents of the house before they moved in, and there's a weird old woman across the street, and is she really weird? Is she there to protect people? Is she there to, we don't really know, and It's a new age nuclear family with adopted children and just a blended family, and you go, oh, is that the dad, is that the mom, whose daughter are you? But they love each other, and that's all that matters. And then something gets weird on that last page. Really made the hair on my arm stick up, and as a parent, it makes you go, oh my god, I've had that nightmare, kind of thing, and yeah, so it really grabbed me, and I'll be back for the next issue of that. Art's very similar to Something's Killing the Children.
Yeah,
It's a different art scheme, though.
yeah, you can kind of like that cover has a very
Mm-hmm.
Something That's Killing the Children vibe to it.
Yeah, it's a Letizia Cadenici is the artist on that, and Jude Doyle is writing. But yeah, man, it has a very, very similar feel to Something's Killing the Children as far as the art goes. Lines are very clean, not a lot of dark lines. So it's just really a nice looking book. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It definitely set a mood as you were reading it, and definitely want to know more. So yeah, that was a good one. That's a good. Yeah, I used to not be a horror fan, when it came to comics, because it was like, I can turn the pages I want, so I'm not really scared. But if it still gets you, if it gets the old cockles to shrivel up a little bit when you return the page,
See,
yeah, it got me.
this is a discussion that you and I have had just previously, and I always brought up the fact that I thought Evil Ernie was a horror comic, but then it was the fact that Evil Ernie was a horror comic to the vein of like an Evil Dead, not so
Mhm.
much to the effect of the things that we're presented now in comics. Like I don't think there were a lot of comics that hit that true horror note. I mean, unless you go way back, like pre-comic code, you know what I mean? Then
Yeah,
you have
pre-comic
horror
code, yeah,
comics. Yeah, but I think the comic code hit, and then but this is the questing authority, man. Fuck the comic code authority.
absolutely.
But once that hit, it changed a great deal of the market, and then it finally went away. And then you got characters like to the vein of Evil Ernie, Lady Death. I mean, Lady Death was horror to a certain degree, but at the same time, it was sexualized to a point where it's like, ooh, that's fucking hot. All right.
Yeah, it's good girl
Um,
art. Good girl art. It was right up there with like Dawn by Linzer back then, Kabuto. There was a lot of the hot, death dealing woman, Red Sonja's, Vampirella. They changed Vampirella up from being a creep show style magazine to, oh, she's actually a superhero. And there's blood and, almost showing nip boobs and, you rip some people's arms off and there's an arm laying over here and there's, a monster here and there. And that's horror, but it never really made me feel like it was horror. It made me feel like it was one of the later Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, where there's always some sort of wisecrack and it's evil, like Evil Ernie. Evil Ernie took out people that deserved to die.
well, it depends on. I mean,
Well,
sometimes
sometimes.
in the early Chaos comics, he was just like fuck everyone. But
Right.
again, that's because he would love Lady Death. But the later you get into the Evil Ernie comics, the more he is specifically aiming at like one of my favorite lines from Evil Ernie. It's one of the comic lines that sticks out to me is he's talking to Smiley, the psychotic button, which is obviously the humor of Evil Ernie. It always has been. It's like Smiley's just the funny character, but he spins this dial he has. I think this is Evil Ernie goes to Santa Fe, if memory serves me proper. He spins this dial he has. It lands. He goes down. He kills the dude. He gets back up on the roof and he's sitting there and Smiley's like, what was that about? He's like, I was going to prove that I had a choice. How's that? Well, I spun the dial and I decided whatever number he came up on, I was going to go down there and kill him. Now, mind you, that dude was a pedophile, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
entirely justifiable that Ernie was like, look, I was proving I had a choice, and that dude deserved to die, and I didn't give a shit what number came up. That's what I was going to go do, right? That's the way it was. So in that, he did become way more of an anti-hero, you know? But I do think, and again, I know this is something that we've discussed previously, man. In the modern comic book era, I feel like it was Tim Seeley that really had the effect of bringing another level of horror comics.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It was him
Yeah.
that really stepped out and made it to where you didn't have to have that humor. You could just have
Right.
straight fucked up horror that mainly
Yeah.
being with his creation Hack Slash, you know? And I think I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like without Hack Slash, I feel like there's a lot of things in the industry right now that are coming out. I don't know that they would.
Yeah. Yeah. The Hack Slash had been a blind spot for me. I did not read that
Ooh.
just because I just didn't know. I was like, I was until 10 years ago, I was all about superhero capes and cows. That's all I read. I didn't read anything else. DC, Image, Marvel, the superhero guys. I wanted guys that did the good fight, and every once in a while I'd get a guy like the Punisher. I'd read their books, but for the most part, I wanted good guys doing good things, and I didn't want any gray area really. And I've branched out, and I've gotten into and realized there's so many more books out there.
Tim
Like
Seeley.
Local Man.
Tim Seeley is so great at that gray area, as is Tony Fleece. This is Tim Seeley and Tony Fleece's Local Man, which I love where they're taking this comic. The fact that they're taking a superhero and running him through the gutter like they are. You know what I mean? I think it's phenomenal. Um, and I think this just shows another level of Tim as far as like, because I would not consider this horror. It's very much a superhero comic, but it's very much something different in that vein.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's there's something very unique about Local Man when I read it, which I appreciate. Anytime I pick up a comic book and I'm like, ooh, this is something not quite like I read. Like I love that. Man, I do. Whether it's a horror comic, whether it's straight comedy, whether it's like it does not matter. You know? Like it's important in my opinion that it's there in some capacity where there's some originality. Not that anything's ever truly original. Let's be real honest. Without Sherlock Holmes, there is no Batman. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, and Tim Seeley's got another book, horror style, that started last year called West of Sundown. Late 1800s. You're following a vampire lady and her Renfield who keeps her safe as they're traveling across the Wild West. You've got a Jack the Ripper, a Frankenstein. You've got all these different monsters coming together and dealing with a big fight at the end. And now they've got a town that they're protecting from other outside evil influences because these monsters have all decided to band together. So that's another good horror story that's out there that Tim Seeley did. So that one's really fun too. So Tim Seeley's definitely jumped more on my radar.
I feel like when it comes to comics, Tim Seeley is definitely one of the masters of doing horror comics, right? So let me just ask, man. I need to know, like, just all around, and I want two versions of this particular monument, right? I want your Mount Rushmore. First, I want your Mount Rushmore of writers. Then, I want your Mount Rushmore of artists.
Oh, my man. Geez, that's a lot.
It's only, what? That ain't that many damn people. Come on.
No, but, okay. Writers. Alan Moore, everyone throws Alan Moore out there. He's great. I don't read a lot of Alan Moore. I mean, yeah, he did Watchmen. He did, some great stuff. Not on my top. Not on my. I don't pick up Alan Moore very often. Who I do pick up a lot is Jonathan Hickman, Rick Remender. Let's see, who else do I pick up a lot of? I'm gonna definitely throw in Mark Waid. Mark Waid's been one of these guys that has been there for the last 40 years. He does. Doesn't matter what book you put him on, Mark is going to find it. Whether it's, he's going to find that way to make you care about these characters better than anybody. And just as you think he's out of tricks, he comes out last year with the Batman Superman World's Finest, which leads into a Robin book, which leads into Batman versus Robin, which leads into DC Lazarus Planet, which basically is rewriting the whole DC universe. 2 years ago, no one was, Mark Waid, he's a good guy. We give him we'll throw him a Flash book. Oh, we'll throw him give him a Booster Gold book or something, and he writes it, and he writes the shit out of it, and he does great work with it. Doesn't matter. I mean, so Mark Waid's up there, and I'm gonna throw in probably Chris Claremont, who probably brought us the modern. I mean, X-Men wouldn't have happened. When they had the X-Men revival, it was Chris Claremont that did that.
It's funny. It's funny that you bring up Chris Claremont, because I cannot tell you on the pre-show questionnaire, which again, hopefully y'all will be able to see all of that soon once I get this website fully up and Jesus, and you'll be able to see everybody's pre-show questionnaires, including Dave's, from them coming on Quest. There are so many people that have answered their favorite comic book arcs being Chris Claremont's run on the X-Men.
Yeah, it's I mean, he's done so. I mean, every major X-Men story until the mid '90s was Chris Claremont, and now I know it was an editorial choice, but it was always, you have to make sure that back then someone would pick up a X-Men book off the rack. They don't know who all the characters are. It's the way the editorial said, pretend it's everybody's first book. And you would have to have an explanation of every character's powers and abilities and who they are and who they're related to and everything. And it takes a lot of work to be able to say this, in each issue. And you go back and you read some of these collected, books, and you're like, okay, we get it. It's adamantium's, claws. Yes, we know it can cut through anything. Bub. Okay, we get it. But back then in the 80s, you didn't know. A 10-year-old kid picks up a book off the rack. He's like, who's this person? Oh, it's Kitty Pryde, and she's intangible, and she can do this. So you needed to know that, and I think he made it work, and he made us care about these characters so well. So that's my, and there's their X-Men right there. So that's my writers. Next month I'll hit you with the Mount Rushmore of artists.
Oh, you're going to make us wait? It's not going to be a month. It's not going to be a month before there's another episode of This Month in Comics. I just want to point that out. It's probably going to be like 3 weeks max before there's another episode of This Month in Comics, right? But you're really going to make us wait that long to get your Mount Rushmore of artists?
Yeah. Always leave them wanting more, baby.
Well, you know what? You know what I got to say to that? Is we've gotten into a lot of different genres as far as superhero. Some horror. A little bit of X-Men, First Class. Make sure you check out Sean Hill's interview. It was phenomenal. Yeah. A little bit of medieval with Christabel. You got I Hate Fairyland, which I don't know what category to put that into.
Fantasy adventure comedy and musical this month.
All right. But you know what?
Yeah.
You know what it really is? It's Jeff.
It's Jeff.
Yeah. Why is your cover so much cooler than mine?
Because I'm cooler than you. I think you got the base. I think you got cover A. I got I got cover B. I wanted Jeff eating Neymar.
I want that cover.
That's the best part about being at the shop. I get to see the covers first.
Why didn't you show me the covers that you had for this comic, you ass?
I think we were having the day you came in to pick that up is the day we were having computer problems. We had a rough day. We were having a rough day, and it was all hands on deck.
I will give you. It was the day you were having point of sale issues.
Yeah.
So
we were all worried about some other things going on at that time. So I apologize. I didn't give you my fullest attention, my friend.
I will give you. That's a fair look. That's a fair point. You got any of those covers left? You got any cool alternative covers left?
We just cleared out. Everything just got shipped over to the warehouse because we got to make room for Free Comic Book Day coming up. So everything in the store has been, all of our back issues had to get moved out. So
I hate the fact of how far the store is from me, and I can in no way, shape, or form get up there on a fucking Wednesday for Free Comic Book Day.
It's a Saturday.
Oh, it is?
I'll have your book. It's a Saturday. Yeah. Free Comic Book Day is the first Saturday in May. Check your local listings. But yeah, the first Saturday in May every year since 2000. No, yeah, 2000. It was. Was that the year the X-Men movie came out, or was it 99?
Oh Christ, bro! You think I remember that?
So that was the first Free Comic Book Day was the year that the first X-Men movie came out. Because it happened, it came out in May, and that's what started the summer blockbusters, starting the first week of May.
Okay. So real quick, the first week of May is Free Comic Book Day, but just to cut back to It's Jeff, I want to point out this is a phenomenal read. If you've got a kid that's very, very young that you just want to try and get into comics, because look, I don't care what anyone says, comics are a great way to help children with their reading ability. You just have to have the sense as a parent to be able to guide it the proper way, because there are a ton of comics out there that will lead to that. My boy loves cartoons. I haven't had a chance to read him this yet, unfortunately, though technically I'll be more telling a story as we kind of flip through it. That's neither here nor there, though. You can still do that. You know what I mean? As far as just tell the story and what's going on and make the sound effects and this and that. And it will get the kid into the concept, and will encourage reading, therefore encouraging literacy. You know what I mean? And literacy is important. It is. Like, motherfucker, if you can't read, you can't learn history. If you can't learn history, you can't find out about all the offensive ass shit that has been done and shouldn't be done any longer. That's why y'all need to get your comic on, right?
Agreed. So It's Jeff is the palate cleanser that we all need.
Yeah, and I mean sometimes, like Dave just said, sometimes you gotta get that little lighthearted thing because you just read some shit that made you go or choked you up a little because it was so deep. Like The Deadliest Bouquet. Look, which I highly recommend. The Deadliest Bouquet though is kind of fucking sad. It's a sad ass story. So you gotta have that palate cleanser list. And that's the great thing about comics as well, is you can pick up issues on a monthly basis and you can be like, oh, I've got something funny, I've got something scary, I've got something really deep. I mean, you can get something sexual, you can get something. I mean, you pick a fucking level, man. You can reach it.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm glad that there was a nice blend this last month of books that came out, new number ones that really, ranged so far. So yeah, it was really a great little. So Marvel did a good job with that. So we did. Let's see what we did. We did an Image. We did a Boom. We did another Image.
You know what we haven't covered?
Marvel. What's that?
What we haven't covered is anything from DC. And
DC.
Who will Jane be today? Can I say,
got one of those.
After you showed me this, I had to pick it up because you're right. It has a cover that is very unique in the fact that
Mm-hmm.
it's scratch off. Like a
Scratch
fucking
off.
like it's a lottery ticket, right?
Yeah, it's like a lottery ticket. Let me get
Like
my little tool to scratch mine.
yeah, like so
Scratch,
let's see
scratch,
what
scratch.
Dave got, because I ain't scratching mine. Apparently he's gonna scratch his.
Yeah,
Right?
you know, because
I mean, I
it's
sort of
just
want to
comic.
know who's
Yeah.
under it. I do. I can't lie. I sort of want to know, but at the same time, I'm like, it's way cooler to just have the mirror effect, and it's like just you could scratch this off if you wanted to, but I just don't. Part of me
Yeah,
don't want to. It's
if
my
I scratch it
OCD.
right, it can look like I like wiped my hand on the mirror, and and then I got who I wanted because there's like 5 different people you can get underneath here, and
Wait, now, who did you all get?
I got Chainsaw Nun.
You know, you in part make me really want to scratch this doing that, Dave. I
Hey,
really do.
peer pressure, but
You,
hey, you want to keep yours all pristine, you go right ahead. That's
I
the
do,
great thing
and I
about
still
comics.
look. I have not read this yet. I was a huge fan of the Doom Patrol show. Have you read this yet?
I have, and
Am I going to
like,
end
and
up? Let me just ask before you say anything else. Am I going to end up adding it to my pull list after I read it?
very likely,
I mean,
very
you know
like,
my tastes.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you like the Doom Patrol show, you're gonna love this. I can't read Robot Man without hearing uh, Brandon Fraser's voice, and sure enough, he tells a person to fuck off on the 3rd page, and it's fantastic. You know, they're like, hey, you can't park that piece of shit truck here. Ah, fuck off.
And I mean, how do you not at this point hear Brendan Fraser's voice when that happens?
Oh, it's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because he played that character perfectly. I think it's the fucking funniest thing that his revival as an actor was him playing a giant robot suit where you couldn't see any of him. It was just his voice to the point where he ends up going and doing The Whale, which I kind of watched pieces of. That's a really fucking depressing ass movie. I couldn't watch it all.
Yeah,
I I that shit is heavy. Like heavy, heavy,
yeah.
heavy, heavy depressing, right? I couldn't bring myself to watch it all for a number of reasons. Like it was just too fucking sad. There's a reason I didn't pick up Stray Dogs until I did. Tony knows this, so does Dave. We've already had this discussion. I do definitely recommend Stray Dogs though if you're into some serial killers and some fucking like 101 Dalmatians, all dogs go to heaven kind of things. If that's your jam,
A couple of
pick up
dogs
Stray
do go to
Dogs.
heaven.
Yeah. Huh?
A couple of those dogs do go to heaven.
Spoilers. Shit.
Poor Lucky. Yeah.
Goddamn. Right? But yeah, I mean it's definitely it's great in that forte. But forget my point with that fucking note, man. Like some of the dogs do go to heaven.
I'm an ass.
Goddamn,
So
that was a little fucking morbid. Yeah, I totally forgot what my point was. No, as far as the whale being depressing, though, like I said, I think it's funny that Brendan Fraser got to that point because he was playing Robot Man of all people. Which again, if you haven't watched Doom Patrol, I highly recommend it. This is probably the next comic I'm gonna read as far as who will Jane be today. That's why I pulled it out of its sleeve because I really do want
oh,
to. Like you're telling me on the 3rd page, you tell somebody to fuck off, right? Like I just love. I just love the fact it's like prepare yourself. Things are about to get weird. You think he was doing a fucking intro from one of the questionnaire shows, right?
mm-hmm.
Right? Like
Hey, fuck
sincerely,
you, lady.
you know. I got you like I got one more I gotta get into, man. I got to. Right? I can't help myself. Because I am the Wade Wilson of hip hop. And he's always been my favorite. He's been my favorite character forever. I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
right? Hell, we've had Fabian on the show. Go check out that quest. It was phenomenal to be able to talk to one of the co-creators of Deadpool on all kinds of different subjects. And I love this cover. This is already bagged
Oh,
and boarded though, because it's done been reading. Or it's done been readed. It's done been read. But
It's done been readed.
it's done been readed, man. I done readed this comic, yeah. I don't know how many people will remember this character. Right?
Slapstick is great.
Dude, wasn't he? Man, when the fuck
I
are they
did.
gonna bring him back? Can I be real honest, when I seen him on the cover, I was really hoping he was gonna appear at some point in the comic book, because that is an interaction that I would love to read. Slapstick and Deadpool, because it never happened.
No.
And that would be hilarious.
I think the last time I saw Slapstick, and I may have missed something. The last time was during Avengers: The Initiative, where they were training people, training heroes to be licensed Avengers or licensed superheroes, and he was part of the people going to the camp to go through boot camp to be trained, and everyone else is like super serious, and he was kind of a nut, and by the end he actually ended up doing some pretty evil shit. So I don't know. He ended up almost killing the Gauntlet, the guy that was their instructor, and so I don't know where he's been since.
I mean, in all fairness, he was kind of fairly powerful.
Yeah, he had those little dimensions inside his gloves, and that's how he would like pull out whatever weapon he wanted.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, technically, like, Slapstick is one of those characters that could probably fuck up Thanos if he felt like it, and especially if he was more stable mentally. Like the fact that, but it's at the same time, it's the fact that he's crazy made it to where he might be able to just fuck up Thanos. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean by himself.
Yeah, like Mr. Mistleplit or
that character's name. I know who you're talking about. We'll put a picture up of the dude in the green hat at this particular moment, so everyone knows who we're talking about. Like, but it's funny. I've had people answer on the questionnaire that was like their most hated character, because they just were annoyed by the fact that this little dude showed up and dick was Superman, and it's like, this doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah.
My response to that is Superman makes sense.
Right. And Superman would have to use his brain to take him out. Yeah, to trick him every time. So, yeah. And that's the thing. People have got to be good writers when they do Superman. Yeah, Batman, you just draw something or write something really dark and foreboding, and someone did something really fucked up, and maybe a little bit of it might be a little bit of mystery. To write a good Superman story, you've got to really bring it, because the guy can do anything. The guy's all powerful, and he's even more powerful now since he got back from Warworld. So you've got to write a story that handicaps him every time. You can't use the super speed. You can't use. There's something you got to do, because otherwise he wins so quick every time.
That's why, and I know I'm probably gonna catch heat for this, I'm sure, and I'm probably gonna end up like not pulling a particular artist or writer because of what I'm about to say. I hope not, though. Y'all are more than welcome over at the Quest. We're trying to get our Comic Con over here. Like, Superman's one of those characters I was never a fan of, because I always thought he was overpowered. The only time I was really ever a fan of Superman was when they made him blue electricity, which fucking people hated.
I remember I remember I had that book, and I was at a church couples meeting. We'd go once every couple months or a couple weeks at my church, and we would read, or we'd have couples talk and whatnot. And before the class got started, I'm reading it, and I'm about 20 years younger than all the other couples, the wife and I. And they're like, "What are you reading?" I said, "Oh, I got the new Superman book." And they're like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Superman." And it's the blue lightning coming off of him as a glow in the dark cover. And they're like, "Who? That's not Superman." I was like, yeah, Superman's powers got changed up, and that's not Superman. These guys got mad. These guys are getting all sorts of. Now, granted, they're back then they were my age now, And when someone changes stuff up on character, I get a little butthurt every once in a while. But I've also become, more open-minded to that kind of stuff. But that Superman blue and red was kind of weird. It was kind of weird.
I was a fan, and I think I was a fan more than anything is because you took this being and they actually gave him a weakness that wasn't just a fucking rock. And my whole problem with his weakness is if anybody ever thought about it, like I don't know why Slade Wilson hasn't killed him yet. Look, you take a sword, you line the whole edge of it with kryptonite, and then you cut his head off. How hard is it? I don't understand. Right?
Gotta be fast. Gotta be faster than Superman. Superman's pretty fast.
All you have to do is walk up to him with a sword encased in lead that has kryptonite, or that is just you could that it has kryptonite all around the edge of the blade. The actual blade is kryptonite. It's just got kryptonite all embedded in it, as much as you could get. Go tell Lex Luthor, bro, I know how to kill Superman. He'll give you every fucking bit of kryptonite he has when you tell him this story, right? He'll be like, oh shit, you're right. That would actually work. That's all you have to do. Here's a sword with kryptonite encased in lead. I even included the part that was in my ring that ended up giving me cancer, right? And then you walk up to Superman and you go, hey, Superman. And you pull the sword out because you're in close proximity to him. He's instantly like, oh, crap. And then you cut his head off. What's difficult about this?
Superman's fast. Superman's he's faster than
not
Flash.
if you can, not if you have. But wouldn't that
hears your heart. He hears your heart rate. He hears you stepping up. He hears the intake of your breath as you.
So that's why you can. Okay, so that's why, in my opinion, there are two characters that would be capable of this. It's funny that one's a ripoff of the other. One being from the DC universe, that being Deathstroke, aka Slade Wilson, because he could keep his shit in check, right?
Yeah.
Right?
And then you have then you have Wade Wilson.
Because he's insane. And you don't know how to predict him anyways, right? I'm just saying, Dave, it would work.
If you were writing it, if whoever's writing it makes it work.
Okay, you make the Stan Lee argument, and I'll give you that. I agree. Who wins the fight is always based on who's writing it. And DC would never let me write that story because I would be beheading Superman. They'd be like, dude, you can't fucking do that. I'd be like, but legit, it would work. They wouldn't let it fly.
No, would not let that fly.
But it would be pretty. But I guarantee, if you did that comic, how many fucking issues of that comic would you sell at the store?
I don't know. Our store might get burned down. No!
You really think the store would get burned down just because Superman got his head cut off? He'd come back from it. It's comic books. We've established
this. From everything else.
Yeah. He got beat to death. He got beat to, like, nothing by Doomsday. Still, he came back. Some other writer could take and figure out how to bring him back from his head getting cut off.
Mark Waid could do it.
Huh?
Mark Waid could do it. He'd write it.
Well, there you go. See? So you let me write like 4 or 5 issues of Superman where it's just Slade building up, walking around, getting all the kryptonite, and then he just walks up on Superman. Shoot! Superman's fucking dead. Right? Right? He's just trying to figure out where all the kryptonite's going. Suddenly Slade Wilson shows up and fucking kills him. And then we just hand it over to Mark Waid and be like, resurrect Superman, bro. I'm done with this bullshit. They'd be like, so you just wanted to viciously kill Superman? I'd be like,
yep. Yeah.
Maybe. That was my goal. Like I said, things are about to get weird, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And this has been This Month in Comics, yeah? Make sure you get your comic on. For real. Like, subscribe. Hit that bell, right? Do me a favor. Hey, Dave, check it out. I found my thumb. That
Like.
thumbs up. Yeah. Regardless of where you are, man. And make sure, like I said, there's a website coming soon. We got all kinds of quests coming up with all kinds of dope artists, creators, inkers, letters, editors, all kinds of things, man. You know, because it takes a lot of people to put a
There's a
comic
lot of
together.
people.
Unless you're Deck, and then you just put old dog out by your damn self. What
All
are you
right,
gonna
Factor.
do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Oh, but hey, you know, I did decide that we were gonna start doing one more thing on this show,
Okay.
Dave. Right? Because I was
What's that?
thinking of starting Factory's graphic review, making another show, and I was like, God damn, man, there's already enough shows between the mini quests, the actual questionnaire, this month in comics, kickstarting comics, which there's only technically been 2 episodes of. But if you're kickstarting a comic, hit us up. We'll let you fucking run 15 minutes and really pitch that shit out to the world, connect it up. But let's do a little. A Factor's graphic review, which we're just going to include at the end of this month in comics, man, because as
Okay.
Dave knows, I pick up quite a few graphic novels, right?
I am quite the pusher man.
Now, you are a fucking dude. You're like a damn heroin dealer. I swear on my life. But these ones, we're going to go right back to the beginning of the episode. That being Erica Schultz. You ever heard of M3?
I have not.
Ho, 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 ho,
Those look
ho.
really cool.
Bro, right? Vanetti Alscar, I probably butchered your name, bro. I apologize, right? Look at this art.
Oh,
Look at this art.
like
Look at that.
that is nice.
Look at that. This is what I would call hyper realism as far as the art. And this is I would consider this a little Jason Bourne-esque. You know what I
Okay.
mean? But it's a female who was kind of, I mean, it's not, and by Jason Bourne-esque, I mean like a spy thriller type thing. It's not any way, like, it's not like she lost her memory or some shit. But this, and it's 2 graphic novels, and they're from Vice's Press. And damn, Dave, just it's really a phenomenal story from the beginning to the way it starts to just how Erica wraps it up. It's I mean, if you're looking for a good couple graphic novels to grab,
Okay.
Dave, I'm gonna start recommending you shit. You'll be like, shit, this asshole's got me buying shit. And look at that though. Yeah.
Ah, another
Yeah.
signed.
Much love
Nice.
to Erica. Much love to Erica for the care package she sent to the questionnaire. This is one of the best spy. It's probably the best spy thriller comic I think I've ever read. Really, like it's very layered. There's a lot of twists and turns. Um, the main character has so many names. That's why it's M3. Uh, it's beautifully done. I mean, like I said, just look at that. Look at that art, right?
Very nice.
Like it's beautiful. Yeah, I need to hit up Vincetti. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, bro. When I get you on the show, we'll make sure I am before we start the show. All right. I mean, because look at that. It's ah, and that's the other thing. It goes back to the point that I made earlier, as far as the style of the art needs to fit the book. You know what I mean? And with the story that was being told here, for the art to be what it was, as far as just hyper realistic, just on point, clean lines, everything just like if you could turn this. This is another one of Erica's books that I say you could turn into a TV show or a movie so quickly. And if it didn't work, then you fucked up on your end. Because she didn't fuck up
Source
on her
materials
end.
there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she didn't at all. They're phenomenal books. So if you're into spy thrillers, right? Because we didn't get into no spy thrillers on this particular episode.
Not this time.
M3.
Not this time.
Right here.
M3.
Factors graphic review. I don't know. I guess I got to give it a something out of 10. If I was to give this a something out of 10, I mean, Erica sent it to the questionnaire out of love, man. I mean, I got to give this shit with the way that it twisted and the way that it ended, and I mean, I literally picked this up. I read the first graphic, and I read this. I mean, I had all this done in probably a day and a half, which with everything I have to do as far as making sure the questionnaire runs fucking properly, it's pretty impressive. I got a decent little stack of comics I need to read, y'all. Shit, I got a graphic novel that Dave, The Wicked and the Divine, that I picked up how long ago?
August.
Okay, yeah, I still haven't read that shit, just so everyone keeps in mind. But I read volume 1 of this, and I had them both done in a day and a half. So I'm gonna say a 9 out of 10. You know, nice. It's really, really solid. The art is beautiful. It fits the story fucking perfectly. And it's another one of Erica's pieces of work that I think would work phenomenal. This, I would say, you need a bit of a TV series. You need probably at least a 6 to 12 issue run to do properly. I don't think you'd be done properly in one film. That's, again, just my opinion. But yeah, you ever notice, man, you realize how much stuff we brought up? We're like, they should turn this into a movie or a TV show today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think we might be comic geeks, bro.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. You know what? I still say to hell with it. Give it that thumbs up. And remember, I don't care what you're into, and neither does Dave. Y'all need to get your comic on. Look, Dave got that password. You got that password now?
I got the password.
All right, he's got that password now, right? So hopefully Dave's about to like start posting on the Twitter way more than I do, because like I have a problem. Hey, we follow a lot of dope artists over there, bro. Like I said, if there's anybody you think to hit up, man, like not that we don't have a bunch of stuff lined up coming up on the questionnaire, you know what I mean? And I know, you know, there's just a lot going on. If you come to anybody you think we should follow them, Dave. But you're gonna see little tidbits over on the Twitter. That's the questionnaire. I think PC, if I remember searching properly. Even though this quest has been far from PC, it's the questionnaire PC on Twitter. I didn't realize how goddamn ironic that was. To hell with it. Have a good night, y'all. This month in comics.
I got you covered.
Well, what you got?
It's a fantastic book.
Damn it. What did you do?
I'll find you a book for it.
Get your comic on.
Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.